So there was this space where you could try something and fail. I am not a regular theatre director. We wanted a more contemporary version of the play. Realism was invented in theatre. Everybody has a sense of jealousy and everybody has a sense.
Storytelling requires many things: confidence, guts, and when a performer wants to delve into different art forms, be it OTT or theatre, the stakes get much higher. With me is a dynamic theatre and television personality who's also delved into OTT and cinema. Welcome, Subhrajyoti Barat. Namaskar. So, I want to start with a personal story. A few years back, you were performing in a short film. It was called Aval, and I was an extra on the set. So
Even I was a glorified extra in that movie.
No, but it was fantastic, and that was my first introduction to you.
Okay.
And just the fact that you were performing so beautifully. And a few years later, here we are. So that's beautiful, that's the circle of life. So welcome, welcome. And today you're directing a beautiful play. So why don't we start with the play? What's it about, and how long has it been since you had it in inception, and now where is it placed right now?
So Sleuth, the original play, we are doing a Hindi adaptation of the play, and our adaptation is called SAANP SEEDHI. Now, Sleuth is a very reputed play. It was written in the early 70s. Anthony Shaffer, a very renowned British playwright, he wrote the play. It was written as a thriller. Two main characters, one slightly older than the other, and it's a kind of a psychological thriller. It's the mental games that they play with each other. So we decided to do this play for a host of reasons. First of all, we thought that Adyam is a good platform to do a play of this sort. And then we had Kumud and Sumeet, Kumud Mishra and Sumeet Vyas, who are doing the main two roles in this. So that's a bit of a casting coup as far as theatre is concerned.
Definitely.
So
The Salman and Shah Rukh of theatre.
So it was great to have these two people and a perfect play for them, in which they both get to showcase their gifts as actors. Also, for me, it's a joy. I am not a regular theatre director. I have directed plays, but very sporadically. I have not been a regular director who directs plays for a living. I have not done it. Most of the work that I have done in theatre is act. So for me also, I guess I need a sort of a safe environment to direct, if I may, where I'm sort of surrounded by friends who can, from whom I sort of draw a lot of support, a lot of this thing, and this is the ideal environment where I can direct, where I'm supported by these hugely talented, hugely experienced friends who can, sort of support wherever they can, not only as actors but as theatre practitioners. And we have a huge support staff. Adyam again has got a huge team, a very big support team who support us in a lot of ways. So it's been a very pleasant experience. And you have got a great play, you have got great actors, you have got a great team. What more can you ask?
Definitely. So the challenge with an adaptation, it's that there's been a set rule. Like for example, the stage directions and everything is written. So even in this play, it's a Tony Award winner, and then it was adapted by Akarsh, Khurana, right? And so how much of a space did it give you as a director?
When we contemplated doing this play, At that time, it was a very conscious decision to request Akarsh to direct it. I'm sorry, to adapt it.
Right.
Because Akarsh, we know, we were kind of expecting what he is going to do with the play, we wanted a more contemporary version of the play. We wanted the play to be slightly less somber than how it is in the original. It's a very somber play, the original. Here, this is a much more upbeat, peppered with humor kind of a version of. So that way, this version would be unique. I have seen other adaptations of this play in other Indian languages. For example, in Bengali, the great Soumitra Chatterjee has also acted in a film version of it was a play, then they made a film based on that play. And I've seen that movie, for example. But again, in that also, the whole mood is very noirish and very, that kind of. We didn't want that. So we wanted a much more upbeat version of the play. There were quite a few reasons. Apart from the creative reasons, the practical reason was that, we wanted a wider gamut of audience to be able to enter the play. Cater to a wider audience. We had the platform like Adyam, so why not make a version of the play which becomes easier to access for the audience. So that was also one of the considerations. The route that Akarsh has taken is very interesting, and it is a bit of a departure from the original, but without losing out on the nuances of the play. So happy there as well.
Right. And the play's setting is in Goa, and there are a lot of nuances of Goa also that come into the play. So how difficult was it to bring in all of that, and also a movie star? So what went into directing the actors to bring out all those nuances?
Yeah, actors are very close to movie stars. Actors know what kind of life. Not only stars, but the people who are, associated with cinema, especially Hindi cinema, what kind of a life they lead. And you can approach it from all kinds of angles. You can approach it in a very serious way. You can approach it in a tongue-in-cheek humor way. You can approach it also from a very sarcastic point of view, Here, I think it's slightly humorous, but we don't make judgment calls on how a person is. Because anyway, that is just to give it a background. That is not the focus of the play. The focus of the play is, beyond a point, I would imagine that for the audience, for the watching audience, it would become irrelevant as to what profession this person has come from. It would be more about human tendencies and human emotions and human vices that are present in all kinds of human beings from all kinds of walks of life. Not only people from cinema or people from a certain profession. So that's just used as a setting, as a background to the whole story. So it was not really challenging as such, as I said in the beginning, that we are acquainted with that. In fact, we had a lot of fun with that, and Goa again is some place which is, having lived in Mumbai for such a long time, you're acquainted with Goa, you've been there several times, you've lived there, you are more or less aware of the local culture of that place as well. So again, very interesting. Goa is very interesting for us. We had a lot of fun actually, no tension as such. The tension in this play has been much more practical in terms of, trying to put up this production. So there are many aspects to it which need to be taken care of, and we have sort of tried to do it on a bigger scale in terms of, you can look at the set and then everything else that follows with it. So we are trying to do a version which is slightly bigger. So that brings in a certain amount of complications which we are dealing with, but it's okay. Otherwise, creatively, we had a lot of fun.
Yes, no, creatively it's definitely fun, but I see that a lot of effort has been made into the set design, and it's reflective of someone's narcissistic tendencies, somebody who has a grandiose way of living and everything. So definitely, I want to talk about the set design and what went into it, but also at the same time, a director, when they look at the text, they want to drive home a message, right? So definitely, while it's a psychological thriller, I would also like to, after the set design, just get to know from you that what message are you trying to portray? I know this play does not have a message per se, but I'm sure you have a thought that you want to reflect back to the audience.
Yeah, I guess that's the most you can hope for, to have a unified thought behind a play instead of trying to give a message or anything of that sort, because there is no moral preaching in this play. There's no moral idea that you are propagating here. But what you are trying to, but you emphasize on human tendencies, traits of human beings, the traits which are possibly inside me and inside you and inside all the human beings. So what are those traits out of which you take a call, a creative call, as to which are the traits, human traits, you are going to emphasize on in this story? And you have a unified idea of that. For example, in this play, I think emotional level, the unified emotion is jealousy, and on a vice level, the vice is ego. So those are the two things that we try to sort of drive home, and everybody has a sense of jealousy and everybody has a sense of ego, right? So how much of it is there is what is emphasized upon in this play. I guess that is what we are trying to do.
Right. And any thoughts on the set design?
Yeah, so the set design, again, it's driven by a lot of practical considerations also, in terms of where we are performing, how big that space is, how do you fill up a space that big. The stage space is big, where we are opening the play and where eventually we are performing the other shows as well. So what Akarsh had mentioned in the script is of a Portuguese villa, which is quite gaudily decorated up. It's an expensive but tastelessly decorated.
Grandiose.
So that is what we are trying to achieve.
Yes,
I don't know how much we are able to, but we will try to achieve that. We will try to be true to what Akarsh's aspirations are.
Definitely. No. It's a beautiful set and perfectly complemented by the actor who's staying in this. So definitely. And coming back to your journey, I read that you are actually a Calcutta person who lived for a long time in Lucknow. So what has that background led to?
Actually, I was born in Kolkata.
Right.
Being a Bengali. My father was at that time in Kolkata when I was born, which was a long time ago. But after that, and I had my initial schooling in Kolkata, but after that, I went to Varanasi. My father's side's relatives were all in Varanasi. Our what you call the Pushtani Ghar, ancestral house, was in Varanasi. My father was from Varanasi, and my father's side relatives, everybody, my great-great-grandfather had sort of migrated to, Varanasi. And then everybody has been in Varanasi. My mother's side, people are from Kolkata. So I went to Varanasi. Varanasi was this, always it was a homecoming. When we were in Kolkata also, that was the place that we went to at least 5 times a year, and spent
Family
time
holidays.
there. Yeah, holidays, and it's like a 8-9 hours overnight train journey. So my father, whenever he wanted, he would take us and just, उस ज़माने में people used to not believe in booking tickets in advance and all that. So all train journeys were an adventure, you know. So we used to travel like that, and we used to go there. And then I started living there. And those years, although in number of years, I was not there for a very long time. When I actually lived and studied in Varanasi, but those years were very important to me, and I hold them very dear to my heart. So that, and it sort of brought about a lot of change in me, I guess. And then my father shifted to Mumbai. And then after my 10th exams, I also moved to Mumbai with my parents. And here I studied 11th, 12th, eventually everything else that I have done, everything has been in Mumbai.
You started your theatre journey by joining the Nadira Babbar theatre group, right?
जी.
So तब से अभी तक क्या journey रहा है and कितना time हो गया पहले तो ये बताइए.
So I joined Nadira's group in '93. I was just out of this thing. I had completed my 12th, and I think I was in the first year of my engineering when I joined Nadira's group. And I stayed in that group for a very long time. About 14 years I was with Nadira's group. And so initially what used to happen is that I would go to NCPA library because that library at that time, at least even now I guess, is a reading room. It's not, you're not allowed to bring books from there. You can sit down and read. So from morning to evening I used to sit down and read. And then I would take a train, come to Andheri and attend rehearsals in Nadira's group, Ekjut theatre group. And I met since I was at quite a tender age at that point of time, so I met my lifelong friends there. You know, I did a lot of plays with her. The good thing about Nadira's group, at least at that point of time, was that there was no this thing, you were not stopped from trying out anything. For example, if you wanted to play an instrument, you could sit down and try and play. If you wanted to sing, you could join the chorus. If you wanted to prepare for a role, you could always proxy for some senior actor who's not arrived that day, maybe, for the rehearsals. So, otherwise also, if you want to prepare and keep for a role, then you were allowed to. So there was this space where you could try something and fail, you know, and I think that was a very important space that I had, which I don't think a lot of people have nowadays. You know, they are not able, they can't afford to fail. Whatever they do, they have to succeed in that. But we were in this environment where we could try something and fail, and we learned from our mistakes. I worked, I did plays under Nadira ji, under a lot of other directors like Jairup Jeevan, Atul Tiwari, Kumud Mishra. A lot of people used to direct from Ekjut. And then I worked with Chetan Datar for some time, you know, I came to really, you know, like him, respect him for his knowledge, for his creativity, and sort of used to try and find ways and means to hang around him, you know, who tragically passed away later. But I kept on working with Ekjut for longest period of time, till 2007, I believe, when I then thought that it's been long enough time for me to, you know, be in one group. I wanted to work with other people. I wanted to explore. So I got an opportunity when Sunil Shanbag called me for a play. He was doing a version of Brecht's Threepenny Opera. So I got a role in that. I got introduced to other people. Then I became friends with Manav Kaul, so I started working with him. Became friends with Kumud and everybody else. So kept working with other people also. So it's been a fun journey.
Lovely. And so from what I remember when you were performing that, you really capture the nuances well, and I think that comes a lot from your theatre training. So nowadays we see OTT has a lot of realism. So could you just tell us, how close is the link between theatre and OTT?
Well, realism is an ism, like a lot of other isms, and realism was invented in theatre. I mean, it, I guess, started with any theatre school that you go to, they will tell you that it starts with Ibsen's plays and then sort of went into, sort of precipitated into Stanislavski's teachings. So realism is something which got invented in theatre. So even now, a lot of actors who do realistic stuff and they try to act realistically, rather naturalistically, they try to borrow from, say, Stanislavski's teaching or Meisner's technique, which are Meisner and all the other people, be it Uta Hagen or Peter Brooks, everybody's teachings have been a variation of Stanislavski's teaching, and everybody, I think, they borrow elements from it. Of course, you can't do the whole stuff, but borrow elements from it and try to use them when you use realism. So a theatre background does that for you. A person who's not trained in theatre will also maybe do a great job of realism in cinema, because cinema and everything else in front of the camera is a highly manipulated medium also. It's a technologically advanced medium, and how your performance will look is completely decided by the director along with the editor and the cinematographer, and how much of your performance will be seen. So I can build a performance, a very realistic performance in cinema. In theatre, it is not possible. If I'm not performing naturalistically, then I'll not look natural. But in cinema, I can build a performance. I can build a performance with correct lighting, with correct magnification of lenses, and a good editor. So that.
I know you being humble, but and while you might say that realism is just like any other ism, but you have perfected realism, whether it's in acting or directing, and a glimpse of that, of course, everyone knows with the Mirzapur and all the other famous shows. So what does it take, like for the people, a lot of our audience members, they're actually wannabe theatre actors and directors. So what would you say is the journey, the long journey of arriving at realistic direction and acting?
So I don't think that the journey needs to be as long as it has been for me. Part of the reason is that I have never had the opportunity to have the opportunity to go to a theatre school. Whatever I had to learn on my own, and that takes a lot of time. For example, if I had been able to go to, say, a National School of Drama, then that's a 3-year, 24/7 kind of a situation, where for 24/7 you were just doing that. You're not doing part-time theatre. You are doing theatre, you're learning about theatre. There are teachers who are coming and teaching. They're doing plays with you, and you're exposed to different kinds of theatre. So it's a huge training, and it's 3 years. After that, but that doesn't make you an actor. It just equips you.
Yes.
What I guess what gives you more perspective towards the whole craft is your life experiences. So I guess you need to be of a certain age. It's easy for me to say because I am of a certain age, but I think a bit of life experience is very important for effectively be an effective actor. So I guess.
And it requires a lot of wisdom, a lot of courage, a lot of, personal experiences.
Yeah, I guess so. But then doing a policeman job also requires a lot of courage. It's okay. It's okay. Hello, I'm allowed to glorify my profession, but yeah, I guess for every person, their profession is very important and very. My son is now become this. He's just passed out of law school and he's trying to become a lawyer. He's training to become a lawyer. So he thinks that his job requires a lot of courage as well. So I'm sure that everybody has that.
No, but definitely, your journey has been nothing short of inspirational, and I'm really grateful that you could spend time with us. Before leaving, one parting message to our audience members, and you can also share where and when we can watch your play.
Yeah, message to yahi hai, please come and watch our play. We are spending a lot of time and energy and effort to build this play. I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it. This is on the 22nd and 23rd of this month at Bal Gandharv Rang Mandir in Bandra West. You can Google the name and you will find it very easily. The tickets are on District by Zomato. This is a new app, ticket booking app called District by Zomato. So you can buy tickets online, and please come and watch our play.